I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jen.
Welcome back, ladies. How's it going?
Hello.
Hello.
It's finally cold. I'm so excited. I'm wearing a hoodie. This is probably what I'm going to be recording for the next few months in this.
Honestly, me too. That's why I have this hoodie on, because sitting here on the couch, even just during the day, the sun was outside, but I was so chilly inside the house. So I had this hoodie on, and I slept with a hoodie last night.
That is so
Yeah,
cool.
no, same. How was everyone's Halloween?
Oh, excellent. I passed out the adult size candy bars and
So I thought your story was going to end at I passed out.
no, and some kids remembered the house and they were like, oh, this is the house with the adult size candy bars. I had the ofrenda, the altar in the in the front porch, so people would ask me about it and stuff, and it was really cool. A lot of people seemed really interested in it, and I thought that was so awesome. And I always dress up as La Catarina for to pass out candy, just because I never get the opportunity to do that unless I'm passing out candy. I did go to a couple Halloween Halloween parties, and I got to dress up differently, like do different makeup for each of them. So I had a full Halloween, so full that I'm just so tired.
I noticed that about you. You had, I don't know how many different costumes. I was like, oh my gosh, Sarah really pulled out all the stops this year.
And the crazy thing is a lot of the stuff that I wore for the costume I already owned. So I just took it out of the closet, modified it a little bit, and then just there's this white wig that I forgot where I put it, and so I finally found it. I washed it, and I just ended up using that wig for the whole entire Halloween season. So that was pretty cool. I bought it from an ex. She used to do makeup like for a living, and so she's trying to downsize her stuff. And that wig, she said, was like $200. So I was like, I'll buy it because she was selling it for 20. So I thought,
that's a good deal.
Yeah, really good deal.
It was used, but it's a really nice wig. It's not like the ones you get at Amazon. So I was like, you know what? It's a good investment. So now it's what I used for my Halloween costume. But what about you guys?
Cool.
So my Halloween ended really early because when I worked that day and I had decided to dress up as Eeyore, which was really cute because I bought like some pink knee-high go-go boots. Not heels, go-go boots. And I really like them and I'm gonna keep those. I was originally supposed to wear a skirt, but when I had like the whole thing on, I realized that I hated the skirt. Because I felt like, to me, when I looked at myself in the mirror, I looked fatter, and I was just like, no, we're not doing this. So I changed that out. Did my full 8-hour shift in my Eeyore costume with boots at the airport, and then when I got back home, I was just like, let me rest for a little while. Girl, I knocked out. I fell asleep. And I didn't wake up till like 10:30, and by then, like, I knew I could have gone somewhere, but I looked at my costume that I had taken off, and I was like, I'm not putting that back on. I'm gonna stay up, but I'm not going out. It wasn't too bad. I hung out with my friends. I watched some scary movies.
Oh, that's right. Okay, before we move on, I need to know what you thought about Nightmare on Elm Street.
It was a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be. TBH. I think like when we first like actually see Freddy and he's going after the blonde girl with the crazy boyfriend, yeah, Tina. When he runs after her, he runs like
with his arm. Yeah, those blades are heavy. But
I did not expect that. It cracked me the fuck up because I was watching it with my friends. With my friends, and literally we're all like kind of like huddled together, and we had like pizza and popcorn and stuff like that, and we're just like, oh my god, like there was like the whole like nightmare scene where she's like being dragged across like her room and stuff like that, and her boyfriend is watching, and that did freak me the fuck out. I was just so like, oh, I don't like that at all. But when he was like actually physically chasing her, oh my god, it was just like I was laughing the entire time, and so were my friends who are big scaredy cats. So it wasn't as bad as I thought that it was. but I did still like kind of I could not go to sleep because I kept thinking I'm gonna dream of him. I'm gonna see him in my dream, and I kind of have been like having like not nightmares, but like I definitely wake up sweating a little bit.
Well, I'm happy to hear that that movie has held up over the years. I do agree with you that it's very campy. Like
Yeah.
if I had to define campy, I would be just say Nightmare on Elm Street. Um, and I honestly haven't rewatched it probably in 30 years, more so probably. So I don't even know how it would resonate with me now, but I'm happy to know that you can't sleep.
Like it wasn't like it really wasn't as bad as like my childhood brain
Yeah,
had made me remember it
yeah.
because and then once I got past like her original like nightmare, those first like I don't it probably isn't even like 15 minutes, probably like maybe like 5 or something. That whole like nightmare scenario. I was able to like watch it and enjoy it, and like there was definitely jump scare moments that happened. And then I'm not gonna lie, the ending I was kind of like, so she's dead, right?
Is
Like
she
that's
dreaming? What's going on? Yeah.
yeah, like did she drag him out? Has she been dreaming the entire time? So she's dead, right? Like that's and now I'm kind of I want to know more, so I kind of want to watch the other ones too.
There's multiple for you to find out.
Yeah. So I probably am gonna like I still don't want to watch it alone. Having my friends with me definitely did help. But it was good. I can see why it's a classic. I can see why people like it.
Nice. Well, for those of you who may not know who are listening, Halloween is my wedding anniversary. So, it used to be tradition for Eddie and I to go to Disneyland on our anniversary. But now that we're not annual pass holders, it kind of really just didn't make financial sense to me to spend 150, I don't even know if that's how much it is anymore, $160 per ticket. Um, and then I hadn't checked to see if reservations were available because now post COVID, you have to make reservations to go to Disneyland. Even if you have a ticket, you can't just show up and give them your ticket. You have to make reservations. And that's something that I've heard might go away because it was something that they used for crowd control during the pandemic. But um, as of now, it's still in place, and I just don't wanna have to go through all that, and then what if we bought the tickets and then there were no reservations? And then that's just to get there. So, $300 off the bat, just to get there, and then eating and drinking and all that stuff. I was like, it sounded like a lot of money, and while I enjoyed Disney, I enjoyed having an annual pass because we would go like, well, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we'd hang out, ride a couple rides, eat a meal, and be home by like 7 o'clock. But if I was going to spend so much money to just buy tickets, I would have been like, no, we got to be there at 7 a.m. when they open, and we got to stay till midnight when they close to get our money's worth. And I was not feeling a full day like that at Disney. So
Yeah.
instead, we just kind of hung out around um, the South Bay and just did fun stuff. We went to breakfast. We I had biscuits and gravy for breakfast, and then we went to a movie and saw a movie called Your Monster, which is kind of like an artsy independent film that apparently received a lot of accolades at Sundance, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It's about this girl who has a bad breakup, and she's trying to make it on Broadway, and she discovers that there's this monster living in her closet. She's probably like in her 20s, early mid to late 20s. And the way the story unravels is super, super interesting, and there was kind of a twist, and I really enjoyed it a lot. So if you have the opportunity, Definitely check it out. Then we went to Dave and Buster's. Yeah, you have a question?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Shape of Water-esque? Or
No,
not really?
no.
No.
It was
More horror?
more like the old school Beauty and the Beast, the TV show,
Oh,
kind of like
okay.
that. Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I definitely would check it out. Then we went to Dave and Buster's. They were having a Halloween special, and so from 4 to 7, you got all you can play. So on anything that didn't give tickets, it was all included for $10. And then
Cool.
for kids, they had for everyone, they had a costume contest, a candy scavenger hunt, and arts and crafts. But at the end of the night, we were playing, and then I was like, "Hey, what about the scavenger hunt, and arts and crafts?" It must have happened, but it's so freaking loud in there that. And then when we're playing games, I could hear they were making announcements, but I didn't know what they were actually saying. I told Eddie, Gen Xers grew up playing video games. I used to love going to the arcade. They would make so much money if they're like, "Hey, special for Gen X people, come from noon to 5 and we will turn the music down. Actually, we'll play 80s music and we'll turn it way down and you can be home by 5:30. I think they would make so much money. And drink specials.
Yeah, new business model.
So anyway, we did that, and then there was a ramen place that was advertising half off of their like spooky Halloween ramen. So they had some fire ramen and then some black ramen. And it was just those two that were half off. And so we went to go do that for dinner, but the line was so long that Eddie's like, "I'd rather pay full price than wait in that line." So it was here, excuse me, in Torrance. It was a little like strip mall. Here we have a lot of those in the South Bay where it's just strip malls full of Japanese restaurants. So we just walked around till we found another one where we wanted to eat, and we ate there. And that was our full night, and we were home, I think, by 9 o'clock. But it was fun. It was a good full day of fun stuff that we did and enjoyed ourselves and celebrated our anniversary.
Aw, happy late anniversary.
Thank you.
All right, guys, it's now time for Trastorno de Pánico. I'm doing a different type of echo this time.
Nice.
Well, today I'm going to talk about Belzebuth. Belzebuth. It was a movie that was filmed in 2017, and you can watch it on Amazon Prime. And I saw that recently, and the main cast member is Joaquin Cosio, who is a very well-known Mexican actor. He plays the title role of Emmanuel Ritter. I don't know why Ritter, but okay, let's go with it.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know, but another cast member is Tobin Bell. If you guys don't know who he is the guy in Saw. Saw? Yes,
Oh.
he's that guy who was dying of a brain tumor or something, and he plays Basilio Canelli, who is kind of an excommunicado padre who has a bunch of tattoos, and he's been like battling evil for many years, so he has a lot of knowledge. And basically in this movie what happens is there's like really weird kind of mass murders happening like in sequences of like years. So when we are opened up in a hospital where his wife, the Emmanuel Ritter's wife, has given birth to their child, and Ritter's a police officer. He's a detective in Mexico, and all of a sudden a nurse goes batshit crazy and ends up killing all the newborns in
Oh my gosh.
in the nursery. And Ritter obviously, like loses his child, and his wife is committed because she couldn't handle trauma with that. And he's still a detective and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, many years pass, and now there's some mass shooting. Shoots a bunch of little elementary school kids in school, and then he is asked to investigate what happened. And it turns out that this movie is about the not second, okay, well, we think it's the second coming of Christ, but it ends up being that these mass deaths are a instance where a Messiah is born, but they kill him off before he becomes the Messiah. So yeah, so it takes in a whole different kind of retrospect, and demon, I guess, that is responsible for carrying out these orders is Belzebuth. And anyway, it's a family, it's a poor family, Mexican woman who has a son that they need to protect, and all this like evil stuff happens, and like it's a really good movie. It's mostly in Spanish, but a little bit of English, of course, because of Tobin Bell, the actor. But I thought it was really good. It was a real different take on like, you know, uh, the Son of God coming to earth, and how that plays out if like the devil is trying to not prevent that from happening. So I thought that was so good. And I'm a big fan of this fellow, this Joaquin Cosio. He is a really great actor. I've seen him in so many movies, so many TV shows. Like he's just like a real famous Mexican actor. This movie was directed by Emilio Portes, also written by Emilio Portes and Luis Carlos Fuentes. And so yeah, definitely check that out. It's on Amazon Prime, and I thought it was really, really cool. Just kind of like a different take on horror. I love it when they're religious because it gets a little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you're reminding me that I spoke about the movie called Apartment 7A last time we recorded, and I watched it since then. And this is like a prequel to Rosemary's Baby, and it actually was very enjoyable. So if you're interested in religious horror, definitely check out Apartment 7A on.
I think it's Amazon Prime as well.
Is it Amazon? Well, I
Yeah.
didn't watch it on Amazon, I don't think, but if you can find it on there, I think that actually I watched it on Paramount.
Oh, Paramount. Okay.
It might be available on multiple streaming.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you look it up, usually Google, well,
Yes.
I mean, Google's have been having its problem, but you could still kind of rely on it.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really cool. I really enjoyed like the whole like Mexican. There was a part where somebody asked, why would the Messiah be born to this woman in this situation? Because they basically almost have to use the cartel um, um, caves to immigrate to the U.S. to try to get some protection. But and then the priest says, why wouldn't the Messiah be born to this family, this socio economical stance, like, because I guess the Messiah should be somebody relatable, not like somebody in Beverly Hills. So I just thought that was a real great take. I thought it was really well written and extremely well executed, and I really had kind of a blast because I was like, God, um it's a good storyline. Like I did not expect that at all. So yeah, check it out. It's called Belzebuth. Belzebuth. You can. I'm pretty sure you should Google it. So that has been Trastorno de Pánico. All right, guys. Now it's time for On My Radar. What is on your radar, Kristen?
So on my radar this week is something that literally just came on my radar on Halloween. As Eddie and I were driving around, we started talking about different songs, and I think something came on, and I think I was talking about how I played some song over and over again during my breakup. I don't remember what it was, but then he said, well, I played this song over and over again during my breakup, and it was a Clash song. And then somehow our conversation turned to him asking me if I had ever heard of this band called Manic Hispanic. And I was like, no. And so he played a song for me, and I was like, oh my God, this is like amazing. So basically, Manic Hispanic, and I'm just reading the wiki page on them, is an American Chicano punk rock band from Orange County and Los Angeles, California. They are a comedy act that plays cover versions of punk rock standards. So Eddie basically described them as Latino Weird Al Yankovic, covering punk songs, but like how Weird Al will do comedy versions of hits, they do comedy versions of punk songs. So they basically adjust the lyrics with humorous references to Chicano culture. And I think one that Eddie shared with me was something about a chancla. Now I don't remember. But the band's members are all Mexican and they use stage names, further making their Mexican Chicano image of the band. They are a supergroup made up of former and or current members of the Adolescents, the Grabbers, Punk Rock Karaoke, and ex-members. And so their years active were 1992 is when they first began, and they're still playing. So there's actually a show, a Punk in the Park, I think is what it's called, like all day festival happening in San Diego on November 16th. And they are one of the lineups. They're in one of the lineups on one of the stages that day. So they're still playing. Eddie and I are now on a mission to try to find them playing more locally since they are local. But their first album was released in 1995, and it's called The Menudo Incident. And it's a reference to Guns N' Roses' The Spaghetti Incident, and it features cover versions of songs by The Buzzcock, The Damned, X, Black Flag, Wire, The Clash, and others. And these cover versions were rewritten, humorously reflecting the Chicano identity of the band and Chicano Mexican culture as a whole. It says tracks commonly include lyrics sung in Spanish, English, and Chicano, quote unquote, slang. Examples include songs such as The Damned's New Rose, retitled New Rosa. And so definitely check them out. As I was listening, I was laughing and just so entertaining and something brand new that I never knew existed. And so Eddie's like, this could be on your radar. I'm like, I'm definitely going to share this. Check them out, Manic Hispanic. And they do have a website. And like I said, they are still playing to this day. So that is what is on my radar.
Definitely want to check it out. I also wanted to cut in, mostly because I got this and then I remembered that I had it. I saw the TV Glow.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. So it's
I
available.
remember you talking about that when it was out.
So it is available as a DVD off of the A24 website. But if you have HBO Max or Max, whatever, or if you have access to it, it's also available to watch there because they have A24 movies on there. So definitely check it out. I fell in love with this movie. I had to order it, and then set when you order it off of them is like it comes in a little slip case, and it has like whatchamacallit, like some really good like little booklets and scenes and stuff like that. So as you can see, it comes with like pictures of shots of good moments in the movie. I so much. I have rewatched it since then, and I once again cried as I was watching it. Highly recommend. It is like a horror / sci-fi / psychological movie with a lot of queer themes in it. And I just think it's, if you've ever felt out of place or if you just grew up in the 90s or remember the 90s very fondly, this movie is it. It's so good. Definitely check it out.
Nice.
Yeah, those little inserts look like little Polaroids, kind of.
Yes,
they
look
do.
like Polaroids. Yeah.
All right, guys, it's that time again. La hora de la cervecita. And what are we drinking today, ladies?
So today we are drinking a very cool looking beer. It's called Wookey Jack. It's a black rye IPA and it's from Firestone. So Eddie and I went to visit a customer the other day who reached out to us and had some comics that he wanted to sell, and he lives in Venice. And as soon as Eddie said he was going, he asked me if I wanted to come. I'm like, heck yes, I want to come because I knew that I wanted to eat lunch at Firestone. So we went and Eddie, oh, I almost knocked my whole thing over. Eddie chose this beer to drink. And when it came, uh, he's like, he tasted it. He's like, oh, this is really good. And so he's like, here, try it. So I took his glass and I smelled it. And I'm like, this smells like an IPA. And he's like, it does. And I'm like, yeah. And so I drank it. I'm like, that's really good, but it tastes like an IPA. So I looked at the menu, and sure enough, it was an IPA, but all Eddie saw was black rye, and that was what was interested him because he's not an IPA drinker at all. And so I was shocked that he ordered it, and he was too once he found out that it was an IPA. But this is, I think, that in itself kind of says a lot about this beer because he liked it. So now I bring it to you as an offering to the comadres to see what you think. And I know that we also have a fellow non-IPA appreciator and drinker. So let's see what you guys.
Well, my nose is a little stuffy, so I can smell it. And you're right, it does smell like an IPA, but it does kind of look and smells a little bit like a porter to me as
Yep.
well.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna trust Eddie on this one.
Well, I think the color is fantastic. It's a really dark chocolatey kind of like almost like coffee color. It's really interesting, and I really love the smell. Yeah, it's just really enticing. And then at first taste, I can get a little bit of coffee in the back, and I'm loving it. It's really refreshing, not too carbony at all. It's really good.
So unfortunately, I never put one of these into the refrigerator, so I'm drinking it room temperature. But room temperature these days is not that warm.
50
So
degrees.
I mean, it's not hot, but it's not cold. It was definitely much better, in my opinion, when it was straight out of the tap. But yes, very, very, very flavorful in the front with I taste caramel. I do taste a lot of porter, like coffee flavors. Um, I was very surprised that once finding out it was an IPA, that there was really no IPA aftertaste that punched you. After a while, I can taste it on my tongue, but it's not that overly hoppy for no reason flavor that completely ruins IPA sometimes. So I was really very, very impressed by this drink. And I don't know if we've ever had a black rye IPA or if I'd even ever heard of one before, but it was definitely something that was super unique regardless. And the can art and coloring is
I
just
love the
amazing.
can art, yeah.
Yeah, it is really cool. Definitely, I sense a lot of Halloweeny vibes from this can art. There's a flower with a skull in it. I thought it was really cool. But no, I'm really enjoying this beer, and I'm a big fan of coffee. So having that little back of coffee really is elevating it to me. I'm really, really, really loving this. Actually, what's our rating scale, Kristen?
Oh, and it's an 8.3.
Oh shoot!
That's what I was looking for.
That's pretty hefty.
Black Rye IPA 8.3. Yeah, because it was warming my tummy very well.
Yeah.
I agree with the both of you. It has very strong coffee flavors, but to me, there's also something else. I want to not say exactly berry-esque, but almost like currant or something similar.
Mhm.
Or who knows? Maybe my taste buds are just shot right now. But I am enjoying it, and it actually has a really. I can definitely feel like the aftertaste of the or like at least the lingering of an IPA. but it
Yeah.
actually has a really nice aftertaste as well to me. That's kind of Mm, what is that? But I really do like it. I enjoy it. 'Cause so it tastes good at the front and it tastes good at the back. That's
Mhm.
what she said. Um, uh,
You never
but
go that cold to vagina. Never. Sorry. I, I just remember
you
that.
know,
All right.
I was implying swallowing. I wasn't implying the dual penetration. But you know what? We can go there. It's fine.
Yes, and never go back to front.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom.
Yep. Front to back.
Okay, so our rating scale is a 5-point scale where 1 out of 5 is very unsatisfied. A 2 out of 5 is just regularly unsatisfied. A 3 out of 5 is neutral. A 4 out of 5 is satisfied, and a 5 out of 5 is very satisfied. And if it's a beer that is off the charts, we will rate it Super Saiyan. So, Sarah, what is your thoughts on Wookey Jack? I like that name too. It's just a
Mhm.
super interesting, cool, Halloween vibey name.
Very almost like fairy-esque too. But
Yes.
like dark fairy.
Yes, gnomes and fairies and elves and stuff. I love it.
Things
Oh.
that spirit you away in the night.
Yes.
And eat your toenails.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I really like this. I'm very satisfied. I really like the taste. I like how flavorful it is. I like how it's kind of warm in your tummy, cool, because I did actually have it in the refrigerator. It's cool to the taste, but then it warms the belly just right. And I'm getting just good vibes. So very satisfied for sure. And the
Yay.
can art just really elevates it for sure. And I really love this, like, this gold top. I'm seeing this a lot when they can.
Oh, I never even noticed it.
Yeah, it's sort of like this elegant feel. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
What
Cool.
about
Very
you,
nice.
Jen?
I'm also gonna give it a very satisfied. I'm really enjoying it. I'm liking the high ABV along with the warmth the warmth in my tummy and the taste. The taste is actually really good. I don't mind it at all. I want to keep drinking it, which is usually like very hard for me with IPAs. Sometimes I'm just
Mhm.
like I'll take a couple sips and then be like, you know what, I'm good. Or like I'll just slowly sip this. I'm trying very hard not to keep drinking from this as is. So 5 out of 5 for me.
And this is Kristen, and I am also giving it a very satisfied 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it when I tried it at the brewery. So much so that I bought a 6-pack to bring home. And it was so good that Eddie, a non IPA drinker, was excited about bringing a 6-pack home. So I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. It honestly strikes me as a winter beer. I
Yes.
am evolving into my winter beer era. I've had my summer of pilsners and lagers and modelos, and now I am transitioning into winter beers, and this is a very good start.
Absolutely. I'm so glad
Definitely,
you
yeah.
said that. And you saying about buying it in 6-pack, I actually, while you guys were rating it, I was thinking, you know why it's such a high rating for me? Because this is a type of beer that I would definitely seek out and buy like a whole either 4-pack or 6-pack.
It came in a 6-pack, and I want to say it was $14. It was pretty cheap.
Good, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not bad at all.
Yeah.
Firestone, easily, I think, readily available in most places. Maybe not your local liquor store, but definitely at maybe like a grocery, like a
Like a Bevmo.
Or
Like a
Whole
Bevmo.
Foods, even. Yeah.
Whole
Yeah,
Foods,
Foods.
Trader Joe's, maybe.
Trader Joe's,
yeah.
maybe. Yeah. And Firestone is located with their main brewery in Central California. So you might even find some things up north near
Yep.
you, Jen, because its home brewery is in San Luis Obispo.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely find some. And I'm probably me and my friends are talking about going to Salinas at some point. So,
Oh,
well, if anything, we might be able to find it there.
nice.
Nice. All right, guys, now it's time for our book review. What are we reviewing today?
So today we have Far South. I think, Kristen. No, Sarah has a different cover for
Yeah,
us.
I have that covered too.
Okay. Far South, crooks, pimps, and gauchos. Is it gauchos? I always thought it was guachos,
No, it's
but
gauchos.
it's gauchos.
Gauchos.
Argentino.
Gaucho. Yeah.
Son los
So
argentinos.
this is a book by Rodolfo Santullo and Leandro Fernandez. Rodolfo did the script, Leandro did the art, and Ezequiel Fernandez Roel did the color. And this is actually translated by Chris Ortega, with lettering done by Javier Paredes and Marina Leon. And the Far South logo design was done by Juan Pablo Colombo. It was published by Fair Square Comics. Is it Alien Books or Fair Square Comics?
I think it's both.
Yeah. Well, it was co-published by Fair Square Comics. And Alien Books. Okay. I'm gonna read the synopsis that we have here in the back. An arid and wild land cut off from the world. Tough and hot-blooded men. Crime. Alcohol. Revenge. This is where the taciturn Montoya runs a bar. A bar where the worst scoundrels in the area come to settle their differences or talk about their setbacks. What happens in the Far South stays in the Far South. Created by best-selling international author Rodolfo Santullo and the old guard superstar artist Leandro Fernandez, Far South will take you to the merciless world of these cowboys through a series of short stories of jubilant violence, Sin City style, in the ancient land of the Gauchos. A different kind of crime fiction.
I am going to start trying to incorporate the term jubilant violence into my conversations. So I had read this originally when it released. Must have been towards the end of last year because I remember reading it and talking about it on Tuesday Night Live. And then Sarah, you did it as an option. I was like, oh, I forgot about that book. I didn't even know we had it. So I reread it. I didn't remember a thing. I knew it was an anthology. And I really think that I probably read it a little bit more in depth this time around than I did the first time because I was always trying to rush through books, just trying to get through them. So I have a little bit more of a, I don't know, understanding, but just I have more information about it now because before I do remember rushing through it and just saying, hey, we have this book. I do want to just mention that the creators are all as you can tell by their names, Latino. Santullo, the writer, is from Uruguay, and the letterer and the colorist are both Argentinian.
Mm-hmm. He's actually a Mexican-born Uruguayan.
Oh,
Nice.
It says he was born in the DF in 1979 and radicado en Uruguay desde 1984.
oh, okay, nice.
And he's he's done a few things. He was actually published by Humanoids for his comic called Dengue. And I think I may have seen some of these before, but I think his stuff is available online as well. And he was also published by for a comic book. What was it? I think 40 Coffins.
Oh.
By I think like Space Goat Press or something like that.
I don't know what that's about, but it sounds interesting.
It does sound pretty interesting.
So, Jen, you started off our when we met today that saying you had some thoughts. So I'd like to hear what you have to say.
So I had pretty mixed feelings about this book because it is it reads it's pretty much like almost like an anthology, all set in like the same space.
Yes.
Some like like place in like the far. It could be Texas, it could be Mexico, or like the border Mexico. It could be New Mexico, but it's someplace in the far south.
Mhm.
Um,
There was lots of Italians.
yeah, with lots of
So
Italians apparently.
I have no with that. When I used to speak online with a lot of like South Americans, either from Uruguay, from Chile, from Argentina, there was a lot of them that would express that um, their grandparents were like from Italy or mostly it was Italians, and they would say with such pride, like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, like I'm white, like I
I'm
know
white,
Latina
yes.
que blanco.
Yeah,
We're all white.
So, and so
yeah.
and then my comeback to that was always, oh, so they were Nazi. You know,
So they
like
were
I was,
fascists.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So while I was reading this, there was a moment where they said, oh, you know, you're not one of us, saying you're not South American, you're Italian, you're a Goomba.
Mhm.
Just came here when you got hungry in Italy to come here and like, not die of hunger.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so what that tells me is that at the beginning, probably those Italian immigrants were not welcome in South America.
They weren't welcome here.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was something I learned from this comic book. But when I talked to those people, they were really proud. So like it changes, right? The wave changes.
The
Like
perception
super,
changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
super proud of not
Mhm.
being indigenous and
Right.
like that. So
That
I found
part
that really interesting.
of the story, I found the part of just Italians being a very big part of all of the storylines. I felt very interesting because I was so confused as to exactly where geographically this was taking place. And I wanted to know like the history behind how all these Italians came to be here interacting with all these Latinos who were looking down upon the Italian. And that was really very interesting to me. And it wasn't really, it was kind of like a side note of the stories being told, but I wanted more of that part of the story.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I like I said, I only know this because I did a lot of chat with the international chat room, which was like a lot of my South American people, maybe from
Mhm.
Spain. Salud. And then the word gauchos was it for me. Once I read that, I was like, okay, it's either Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, like or Paraguay.
South America. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely South America. The word
Mhm.
gauchos is used very largely. They're like South American cowboys
Mhm.
are what gauchos
Oh,
are.
okay.
So yeah.
I
Anyway,
yeah.
Jen, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's kind
No,
of
because you cleared up a lot of it because I didn't like I heard the term gauchos, but I just knew it was something that I wasn't like I sort of knew what it was, but I didn't really know what it was. So you cleared up a lot from. Could have looked it up, but I was
yeah. No, I get it.
like, so that is, and like to me, like when we think like cowboys and like stuff like that, we usually think Texas and stuff like. But placing it in like someplace in South America, so like actually far south, that makes a little bit more sense and a little bit like not saying that those places are lawless now, but I think any place in the 1800s, I think which this seems to take place in,
Mhm.
it was pretty lawless anyways. Um, um, but I could have done without the violence against women
Mm.
bit as well. I definitely once it started, I'm like, it made sense for the kind of comic that it was, but at the same time, I'm just like, bro, I'm kind of tired.
Yeah.
But
And this is the same situation that we had last time we recorded as well when we were doing the Brazilian anthology
Brazilian ones,
series.
yeah.
Because I don't hate the book. I I I really like the story about Capybara Lopez.
Mhm.
That one was it, and that was another thing. Capybaras are only like I think South America too. Um, um, I just wasn't connecting the dots. I wasn't using my brain. Um, uh, and there was also another story that I really liked. on here. There was a Capybara Lopez one, and I think the one about the union rep with the
Oh
femme
yes.
fatale.
Oh,
Uh,
Union
yeah,
Matters.
yeah, Union Matters. I like that one too. Um,
I think
but
this is a really good book. I think it would benefit a little bit, maybe by a foreword saying that it's in South America. I mean,
mhm,
we are to assume that we know what gauchos are, which we don't because we're like Mexican and Central American. So it's like, oh, give us a little bit of
mhm,
leeway. Also, Chile and Argentina are very well known for their wine, so it makes sense that
Right.
oh
the
yeah,
Grappa.
the strikes were due to like it not being paid well for being wine workers. So that was
mhm,
very, very super interesting to me. Like, I only know this because I went to Chile, so some of that stuff kind of seeped into what I know about South America. Like I said, I was talking to a lot of South Americans, and they just would say, "Oh, we have the best wine." Oh, gaucho. Like I learned a little bit more about them as well, and also
mhm,
it actually um for me, it really sets the tone for the background because
mhm,
the South America is so long. And like we said last time, that when we were talking about Trastorno de Pánico, where at the top you could have desert, but at the very bottom you have like snow. So a place that is so, lawless and where this bar is
uh huh,
maybe in the middle of the country where there's like nothing else but lawlessness and there's no cops and stuff like that. So everything is kind of like, like really um solitario, like very solitary, like there's no real big neighbors, there's no big city, like, even in one of the stories they said, oh, like he was so disgraced that he went to go live in the city because they weren't in the
Mhm.
city. They were in like a small like far off town where like there's vineyards and vineyards and vineyards kind of thing. So
mhm.
um that's what I got from this. And um I kind of appreciated there was violence towards women, but there was just one scene and then it cut into just one.
Yeah, and then it's
Yes,
this in exposition, it talked about what happened, and it was just
yeah,
very brief.
Very brief,
yeah.
yeah.
And I did end up appreciating that as well. I was just like, you know what? At least there's so many comics where they do depict um uh
The
um
violence.
uh, the violence, and I'm like, I could do without it. But also I was also trying to be like, okay, this is what this kind of story is, because it is like a Sin City esque, very like kind of like cowboys lawlessness, and just like this stuff happens especially during that time. I mean, there definitely weren't women's rights uh running across the country, and in what is definitely a very like we talk about machismo, and it's mostly like a Mexican thing, but that's not true. It's kind of like a whole like Central and South American thing.
Right.
If you were colonized by Spain or Portugal, kind of thing. Um, so I do appreciate that, and I did like the art a lot too.
Oh, the art was
The art
insane.
was really really good, and like I said, once I got past those two stories, which were interesting in itself, I actually had to go back and reread it to kind of line up who the characters were as well. I really appreciated the nuance in them as well. Because there's definitely running characters, there's like a running
Mhm.
location for sure in the story itself as well. And I mean, if you like a kind of like a good like western style story, like this is really good, and I really do like western. So that's why I didn't really like hate it either. Um it's like it was like a really interesting story. Um, so I did think I would pick up an issue 2 if there was like an issue, or volume 2. I don't know if this is an ongoing one or not.
It did talk about, at the last page, it said, "More vicious yarns coming up in far south, the Great Union Score." So, it looks like there was another, um, issue that came out that had another anthology that came out that had stories.
Mhm.
Well, I very much appreciated the fact that it's lawlessness. There's people bribing people. There's people like asking for bribes by strong arming them. There's a guy who like like almost kills a woman. You know, all this like bad stuff happening, but there's rules. There's
Yeah.
basically in Montoya's bar, you know, you can't do wrong shit. Like, he will take you out if you try to do it. But also the very last story where there's rules. A strike is sacred, and I thought that was like amazing. Like the way the morality issue shift, and it was just like, wow, this is very cool. Like I was like, wait, what? You're holding the strike sacred? I thought that was like you took the bribe, you took the job, and yet, you know, like, no, strikes are sacred. And I was like, that's badass.
Yeah.
What about you, Krista? What were your thoughts?
So, like I said, I had rushed through this the first time I read it, and I didn't remember much of it, but I remember the violence against women, and I remember the end scene with the woman, where we see her in a compromising position. But because I read it so quickly, I didn't have an understanding of what was really going on. So when I read it this time, I was like, oh, she was in charge. And so it really put a different spin on it for me. And I also really appreciated and liked that story too, because it kind of resonated with what we were talking about when we were talking about Dolores Huerta and all of the farm workers and the unions and all that kind of stuff. And so I really liked so there were 4 stories. It's an anthology, but like Jen said, there are reoccurring characters, and of course, Montoya is the bartender, and a lot of the action is happening surrounding his bar. So I don't know. I really liked the Union Matters, but I also I liked the first one, Montoya's Rules, where um there's a character that comes in, and we see more of him throughout some of the other stories, but a character comes in and he is inquiring about his younger brother who unfortunately got into some trouble um the week before or the day before or whatever, and he, as his older brother, is coming to settle the score. And it was really kind of interesting for me that Montoya is the bartender, but he doesn't say anything the entire time till the end. But was still such a big overarching character in that small story. So I really enjoyed it a lot, more so this time. I really enjoyed the art. This is Raphael Albuquerque's variant cover on this one. I don't know who the cover artist is on yours. Does it say Sarah on the back next to the barcode who the artist is?
Fernandez. The Leandro Fernandez.
Oh, so the interior artist. Yeah.
Oh, then yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is Raphael Albuquerque, which I really admire. I really love his art a lot. So I really enjoyed it, and if I saw the second one out somewhere, I would definitely pick it up. And I really like the fact that it is a full lineup of Latino creators.
Yes.
I like to take a moment to talk about the compromising position that the negotiator was in. This is where the art comes in. So there's like, he's just doing his thing, but if you look at her face, she is so unbothered.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. Like,
She's just this is just another Tuesday.
Like, and that's where I mean, she has no dialogue within that panel, but like just the way they drew the face and the body, you could see that she's like, whatever. And I loved it. I love that. But yeah, no, definitely, I really, really loved it. Do you guys have any other comments on this? Or are we ready to rate it?
Yeah,
I think
I'm ready.
we're ready to rate it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, we rate the books on a tres concha scale. 3 being the maximum amount that Jen got to eat in one sitting, and I completely agree with that because actually I remember them pulling the plate of the conchas away from me. So then I had to grab another one, and I was like, kind of like the subtleness of it was like embarrassing. But anyway, if the book is like super extraordinary or goes above the tres conchas level, then we come up with our own, which could be like the whole panaderia, capa champurrado, un café con leche. It just really depends. So Kristen, what is your rating on this book, The Far South?
I am going to give it tres conchas. I really enjoyed it a lot. Again, like I said, this is the second time I've read it. And while reading it this time, I really appreciated it more. And was able to take in the stories a little bit more comprehensively. And I really enjoyed it. I wish that I would have been able to place geographically where it was happening just for my own curiosity. It honestly didn't matter so much for the stories that were being told, but we're into this history thing that we keep reading books and learning new things. And I kind of just wanted to know where these Italians were coming from and what they were doing, wherever it was that they were. So I'm going to give it, tres conchas.
What about you, Jen?
I'm gonna give it dos conchas. Because I in the end I did end up enjoying, especially those last two stories. And then when I reread it, and I just skimmed over like the parts that I didn't like basically, but I could see what they added to the story, in a sense. Just to follow like what would be, I guess, the main characters, because they are the ones who keep reoccurring. I enjoyed the fact that there are no good guys,
Mm-hmm.
in this story. They're all pretty bad. Like they're 100% like villains, but villains with like nuance. Because the same guys who are being like kind of like mm, like not a press gang, but they're definitely like enforcers of some kind, are also kind of like helping like also the union.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was interesting. I thought there was a very, very nuance of character happening, especially with what was his name? Zep something. Zeffrinelli or
Mm.
hmm.
Yeah, Cervetti. I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
think
it took me a while. Cervetti.
yeah, Cervetti. Uh, I thought he was an interesting character, as well, and he's definitely, like I said, definitely not like a good guy. And, but I wouldn't necessarily maybe call him a super bad guy either. And I like that. I like interesting characters like that. So 2 conchas from me.
Yes, I'm gonna give it tres conchas. I really love the art. I love the pacing of all the panels and the dialogue and everything. At the beginning, it was a little bit kind of like I was taken aback, but then once I got into it, I was like, okay, this is what's happening. Okay, I get it now. And it was just like after that, it just became just kind of like real storytelling that took place within the bar. Like these stories kind of started out in the bar at Montoya's, and I just really enjoyed it. And like I said, I really love that whole like we're bad guys, but at the same time there's rules. Like I love that. I don't.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not even part of that world, but I just thought that's really impressive. Like there has to be some sort of rule following in order for even bad stuff to be organized. I don't know, but it was cool. I really enjoyed, and the art was amazing. Art was amazing. So that has been our book review. All right, guys, it's time for En la Libreria. Jen, what do you have for us today?
Today I have pre-code horror comic facsimile collection. Resurrecting 15 banned pre-code golden age horror comics books as facsimile edition.
I've had my
So
eye on this. It keeps showing up on my Facebook.
so this is being published by Macroverse. Macroverse is known for pushing boundaries in digital comics with Eisner-nominated creator-driven storytelling. Backed by a team with over 100 years of collective experience in publishing and media, Macroverse brings a passion for storytelling to a commitment to honoring comic history and a drive to invent its future. New publishing imprint Authentic Editions goes beyond reprints, meticulously recreating every detail of the originals from vintage colors to classic paper feel. For collectors, this is a rare chance to own beautifully produced, historically significant comics with exclusive cover variants and collectible features. Macroverse bridges the digital and physical world, setting the stage for an exciting new chapter in comics. So this, I'm just going to read the synopsis that they have here. Banned for being too horrible to be seen. So salacious, they spurred a series of televised Senate hearings in their power to corrupt the nation's youth. Avert your eyes. The comic books that enrage the country are finally presented here, all in one place, unedited and unexpurgated. Only you can help to preserve these nightmarish artistic accomplishments. Authentic Editions proudly presents a collection of the 15 most terrifying pre-code horror comics from the Golden Age, each issue lovingly reproduced as a modern facsimile of the original, complete with 10-cent cover price and original ads. The Frightening 15 collection includes Suspense Comics numbers 3, 8, 11, and 12, Punch Comics numbers 12 and 9, Chamber of Chills number 19 and 23, Weird Mysteries number 4, 5, 6, 12, Weird Chills number 1, 2, and 3. Featuring Suspense Comics number 3, the most valuable non-Marvel, non-DC comic book of all time.
Ooh.
And then, oh, that's a fucking cover, all right. They published this in the Golden Age? Damn, all right. Slay. Join us in resurrecting these lost classics and experience the fear that seized readers decades ago. We can't bring these books back from the dead without your help in this Kickstarter. In January 1947, Grisly Greatness was born. The first comic book dedicated to the horror genre pulled itself up out of the grave. Soon, 75 different horror series corrupted the racks with chills every month. Parents, teachers, and priests were scandalized. Thousands of comics were burned to stop evil comics leading the children astray. Hitler was a beginner compared to the comic book industry. A quote by Dr. Frederick Wortham, author of the 1954 book Seduction of the Innocent. So said Dr. Frederick Wortham. Shocking the nation, this book galvanized the moment that led to a congressional committee, publishers testifying, and the creation of censorship in the form of the Comics Code Authority. Suddenly, banned, these terror tales vanished overnight, damned to an early grave. Remaining copies are rare and difficult to find because, unlike their superhero counterparts, these comics were actively destroyed. Today, collectors prize these pre-code horror comic books. The 15 comics featured in this Kickstarter cost $450,000 on today's market for a high-grade set.
Wow.
Until now. Introducing Authentic Editions. Authentic Editions are facsimiles of the originals offered at an affordable price for comic collectors who want entirely accurate reproductions of the originals, down to the most minute detail, including the original 10-cent cover price. Printed on paper and cover stock that faithfully reproduces the original issues using period-appropriate techniques. These lost classics are out of reach for the common collector. Backers of this campaign, however, will not only score these incredible relics for their own collections, they'll make these Golden Age atrocities available to people across the globe. And for the fanatic that obsesses, these Golden Age classics are also offered in a nightmarish array of variant covers from Blood Moon Red and Silver Spectre foils to fluorescent ink. Additionally, unbroken runs of these original series are presented in a variety of supplemental tiers, featuring dozens of Golden Age monster pieces that have never before been reprinted or seen since their original publication nearly 80 years ago. Join the alliance dedicated to putting these misunderstood deformities back into print and into the hands of a new generation of fanatics. Only the collective power of fiendish fandom working together can summon these freaks back to life. Don't miss your chance to own these legendary comics. Back the Authentic Editions pre-code horror campaign today and become a part of horror comic book history. Okay, let's talk rewards. You can always back without expecting a reward. You just want to show support. But the base pledge starts at $150 for the Frightening 15 box set. So this is like a physical tier. You get a collector's box set of all the Facsimile reprints of these books. And then from there it goes up to $175, which is the Weird Mystery Collector's Run box set. So the Frightening box set, I should say, is the ones that I had said so before. The Suspense comics, the Punch comics, all the like ones that were actually banned. And from there, it's the Weird Mysteries Collector's Run box set. So this reprints Weird Mysteries issues 1 through 12. Then the Suspense Comics Collector's Run box edition, which is also $175. Reprint Suspense Comics 1 through 12 as well. And then from there, the next tier is $225, which is the Frightening 15 Fluorescent Frights. The Frightening 15 Fluorescent one reprints all the ones that I had said before that were originally posted, but they are with fluorescent ink. So they're kind of like glow in the darkish. It says on the note here, Punch Comics numbers 3 through 8 were never published. So, very cool. As a complete Punch Comics, oh no, wait, that's another one. The Fluorescent 15 is just with a fluorescent ink. Variant covers printed in the colors of your nightmares to make your eyes bleed. So it's just like really, yeah. And then from that, there is the next tier is Punch Comics Collector's Run box set, which is $250, and it presents Punch Comics numbers 1 through 2, and numbers 9 through 23. And this is where that note about Punch Comics numbers 3 through 8 were never published. So I think that's pretty cool. So they just do the facsimile editions for the original print and run. And then it keeps going on from there if you want like different runs and editions. So this Kickstarter actually had a goal of $10,000. It has exceeded that by almost more than 10 times over. It is at $172,918 with 545 backers and 24 days to go as a recording list. I think it's really cool because even now we've seen reprints of facsimile editions, and some of them can go for money. Like, not as much as the originals, but there's definitely something to be said about some facsimile editions that were done really well. They can get valuable as well because they are reprinting very like famous or very popular pieces, and some of them are like about comics that are very, very hard to come by. Which I think this is like really, really cool, especially for I don't think a lot of people know how censorship became a thing in the United States and why it's such a big thing, especially in the United States. I think we talked about this in the previous episode before about how extremely conservative the United States actually is. And there's definitely a lot of history behind it. There was the seduction of the innocent thing, and then from what I remember, the whole like the parental advisory drama with music that happened. Like, was it in the 80s?
Yeah.
The 70s or 80s? Yeah, in the 80s. I
Oh,
wanna
80s.
say.
I believe wasn't it in the No, you're right. It was probably in the late 80s. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, in the like 90s, I also remember there was like a big not 90, well, yes, the 90s leading into the 2000s. There was also like the whole like there when Prop 8 was happening, a lot of censorship of LGBTQ media and like stuff like that. But that's always been a thing, but that's what I remember from as a kid. So I think this is a really, really cool project. It is kind of up there in price. But honestly, I've spent a lot more money on different things on Kickstarter.
Wooden bowls.
Yeah.
Look.
Don't judge me on that. But definitely check it out. It is hold on. Why did I close that? It is Pre-Code Horror Comic Book Facsimile Collection on Kickstarter. check it out. I think this is really, really cool, or at least like something like if you know somebody who's like a really big collector or something, or you're looking for like future Christmas thing gift to do or something. I think this is a really cool project that has 100% met its goal and that is able to produce.
Awesome. All right, guys, now it's time for Juntos y Fuertes. Kristen, what do you have for us today?
So, Juntos y Fuertes is our segment where we highlight projects that are being created by marginalized groups. And today, I also have a Kickstarter, but it's not live yet, which is why I'm sharing it in Juntos y Fuertes, because definitely this is something that I think you will want to put on your watch list and check it out. And it is the next iteration of our friend Henry Barajas comic collection. His next book that is coming out sounded so interesting to me. And he really has a penchant for writing historically relevant comics. And that's why this caught my eye. And it is called Death to Pachuco. And this is Death to Pachuco #1, and it's a Chicano noir set during the Zoot riots and 1943 wartime Los Angeles. That right there is all I even needed to know for it to catch my eye and really grab my attention and make me interested in reading it. The short little synopsis says, during the summer of 1943, Los Angeles became a hotbed of tension and conflict as a series of fierce clashes erupted between U.S. naval members and Mexican-American youth stemming from the murder of Jose Diaz. Private Eye Ricardo Ricky Tellez needs to find the Sleep Lagoon killer before the racist mob kills him in the Zoot riot. So, very, very, very historically relevant stuff going on around this kind of like murder mystery. And I'm just really excited for this next comic that Henry has coming out. And it's dropping on November 12th. So if you can go to Kickstarter and check out Death to Pachuco or Henry Barajas and just click notify me when it drops, and it'll remind you, and then you can support it and back it when it becomes live. So it's not live now, so we don't have any more information than that, but definitely a project that is worth you checking out.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited about that. It was in a comic book that I learned about Chavez Ravine, so I'm so excited to
Oh, interesting.
project, yeah, and learn more about the Zoot riots, which admittedly I haven't looked into at all really, except like that little snippet in American Me. But that's about it. So excuse me, so I definitely am looking forward to this Kickstarter. All right, guys, now it's time for Saludos, and Saludos goes out today to Los Dodgers. They won the World Series 2024. There was
Wait,
a little bit
how do you
of,
do it? Like this?
yeah.
Hello, baby.
So it was riveting to hear all the fireworks after each game they won. That was
Yeah.
super cool. But yeah, they won the World Series, and so like saludos goes up to them. There's a lot of Dodger fans out there. We blew here in LA, and especially Latinos are that follow baseball are real big fans. I mean, Angel fans, who? Get? But anyway, no hate to the Angels fans. Everybody is just quite gifted in the art of sport. But special shout out to them because they won against the Yankees, and that was a East and West kind of like battle, like the rap battles out there. It's
Wait, one with just the rapper Chosen.
right. Ice Cube,
Fat Joe? What the hell? That was like a joke. That was like, and he was horrible.
he was like, I'm like, what? Do you hear yourself, dude? Sorry.
No,
And Ice Cube just kind of buried him. Oh my
he commanded that stadium.
Yes, absolutely. And the little changes in his lyrics to make
Yes,
more
yes.
hilarious were just like
Mhm.
mad.
Yes.
There was no battle there, like seriously. But so saludos goes out to them. But also wanted to remind you guys, in Saludos Latino Comics Expo is happening November 23rd to November 24th at the Museum of Latin American Art at 628 Alamitos Avenue in Long Beach. So you want to come by, say hi to us, take pictures with us, give us a finger. I don't care. As long as you know that I exist and I'm here for you. And we are here reviewing comic books and craft beer for you. So if you want to come down and visit us and enjoy some amazing artists, independent comic book creators, and a lot of merchandise that is made by hand, handcrafted, definitely come down, save your pennies, support local artists, and definitely do some Christmas shopping then, because
Yep.
it's gonna be off the hook. Definitely. Again, that's the Latino Comics Expo, November 23rd and November 24th at the Museum of Latin American Art. So be there or be square or a circle. It's okay. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of this episode. Where can you find us?
As always, you can find us on our website at comasicomics.com, where you can find links to all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram. What else are we on? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, where hopefully you are watching us right now. And if you're not, be sure to check us out on YouTube. You can watch us and all of our facial expressions and the things that we say and do while we are recording. But otherwise, you can listen to us also on a major streaming platform.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend it with us. And we look forward to seeing you at the next event that we are sharing. We are your host, I'm Sarah.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jen.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's on Period Network.